Fellow Mountaineers, you made it to another edition of the Trust the Beard podcast. Before we get started into this episode, I want to cue you in on what this segment is going to be all about. So it's a new one I've come up with. It's Trust the Beard Last Call. And the idea behind this is, after a WVU game, there's a lot of instant reaction, rapid reaction, minutes, hours, and then a couple days afterward, right? A lot of number breakdowns, a lot of PFF grades, things like that. This is going to be kind of the last word on the game that was played. And I don't really go into a lot of numbers. I'll give a few here and there, but mostly it's just an overall view of the game performance, which I will grade. It'll also be kind of where the program is moving forward, what this game meant, and kind of the idea is not to get any overreaction, right? The idea is just kind of let the dust settle, see how other games play out, things like that, and how this works into the context of, our program, WVU football, and college football overall. So it's just a very broad view of it, and it's just kind of the last call on the WVU game. So this week's going to be Robert Morris and WVU. Also, as an added bonus, I do add to the YouTube listeners or watchers, I have every play rolling, streaming on video, so you'll have a look of every play that was run in the Robert Morris game as I'm doing my breakdown here. And this one's going to be a little bit out of sync because I actually recorded the audio before I did the video because I didn't have the idea first, but I decided to marry the two together. So here we have Trust the Beard Last Call. I hope you guys enjoy. Fellow Mountaineers, you made it to another edition of the Trust the Beard podcast. Today we are going to recap West Virginia's triumphant win over Robert Morris 45-3. We'll kind of look at some stuff and maybe look ahead a little bit to the game against Ohio this weekend. So this is a From the Couch edition, which if you followed me for any time, you know that there's no real stats to this. I might throw some numbers out there, but it's mostly just me sitting on my couch giving you my thoughts on the game. And just kind of the overall perception of Rodriguez returning, what I thought about the team's performance, and then what I think about the program moving forward. So first off, I don't know if I could grade the performance yet. I would probably give it maybe a B. One of those reasons it's not an A, despite the score, is we had a rough first half, right? 3 fumbles and four possessions. I view that as just working the kinks out, right? You have almost 80 new players. I think it was 81 by the time kickoff happened. I think I saw or heard that reported somewhere. And so you have that kind of turnover, right? A coach coming in, and not just a first-year coach, but he's installing a unique system, right? It's not just changing the language and how the plays are run. It's an up-tempo, the whole hard edge mentality. He's laying the foundation for a culture, and that takes time to gel. And so I think the first half, those mistakes are easily fixed. I don't think things are going to linger. At least I hope not. If they do, we're in big trouble because I don't think we could overcome having 3 fumbles in the first half against anyone else on our schedule. But with that said, at halftime, right, we made the adjustments and we did what we were supposed to do. And that's really all you can say about this game, I think, from a 30,000, foot view of this, right? I'm not going to get into the details about certain numbers or anything, but just overall, you look at the final score, if you're a casual fan, you're like, okay, 45-3. They did what they were supposed to do. Now, there's more nuance to all of this because of what, happened in game, right? The struggles in the first half and stuff like that. But it looks like Nicco is a legit quarterback. I mean, I think we all knew that, but it looks like he performed well. It didn't look like he did perform well, right? 18 for 20, I believe, like 225 yards, a rushing TD. I mean, he was extremely efficient. Now, you have to factor in who the opponent was. We all get that, right? But again, I'm going to put a big check mark next to this one because we did what we were supposed to do. And that's all you can say, right? We move on to the next week. We don't focus too much on the mistakes, and we really don't focus too much on the highlights because, again, who the opponent was. But I will say this about the team. We did not look unprepared. And I think that's the biggest thing you could say about a team in week one, regardless of the opponent. Because I watched a lot of college football this weekend, and I will tell you the first game, there's a lot of teams that do not look prepared. Take, for instance, TCU and UNC last night, if you happen to catch that one. Right off the bat, UNC looks like they're one of the best offenses, and TCU was in trouble. Well, that quickly, once the game settled in, that quickly turned around. And UNC looked lost a lot of times. They did show a lot of effort. They were doing arm tackles. They were missing stuff. They were miscues, misreads, whatever you want to categorize it as. But they just did not look prepared, which is interesting given that their head coach is Bill Belichick, who, will check each blade of grass before a game to see where he might have an advantage, right? That's what he was kind of known for with the Patriots, is doing that sort of stuff. Now, me personally, I think that's kind of his old age, and right, it just the attention to detail, the fire probably isn't there as it was when he was in the NFL, but I digress. This is not a podcast about TCU and UNC, but I just wanted to prove a point, or at least show you the point that sometimes a lot of teams can look unprepared. And that is one thing that West Virginia did not seem to be. We knew what we were doing, especially with a high tempo or up tempo, high caliber offense. We got right to the line and we snapped it when we were supposed to. I don't believe we had some penalties early on. I don't think any of them that cost us really anything. I was there at the game, so it's hard to remember every single play and what exactly happened. But again, I think we looked prepared. We played hard. We played aggressive. We forced a turnover, maybe a couple turnovers, I believe, or at least forced a fumble. So overall, I think I would grade that a B. Had we not fumbled early on, I think the score would have been a lot higher, right? As Cam Vaughn was, I think it was Cam Vaughn that was running in to close for the touchdown and fumbled in the end zone, right? We probably should have been up like 21-0 at the half instead of having it 10-3. And so, you clean up those mistakes, or if those mistakes don't happen, woulda, shoulda, coulda, I understand. It did happen. But we were on pace to really blow them out even more than what we were. I don't see anything in that game that makes me think like, oh, this is something we're really going to have to watch. Like I got a lot of that with the Neil Brown era, right? When sometimes we weren't getting push off the line or the defensive line, or, we're getting gashed by Duquesne for like 300 passing yards. And it turns out, okay, that was a major problem for the season, right? Our secondary was not very good. Nothing about this game against Robert Morris showed me that we really have any issues right now. But again, it was Robert Morris. They're not a very good FCS team. They had a lot of high turnover as well. And I've heard it on other podcasts, but now we take the next step, right? We level up. And Ohio looked pretty decent against Rutgers. I don't know how much credit I can give them because it is Rutgers. I know it's Greg Schiano and he had success there before, but it is on the road against, quote unquote, a Power 4 team. So they did look pretty good, but how prepared were they? Is West Virginia going to be better prepared? I think so. I lean heavily on the abilities of Zach Alley to prepare his team defensively, and I thought we looked pretty good. We did not let Robert Morris do a whole lot. And I know on social media, people are going to complain about, well, we gave up this third down pass, or it was 3rd and 10, we gave up a pass. Those things are going to happen in the course of a game, right? The other team practices too, right? They try to get better and stronger and lift weights and get faster and get better players. Like, you're never going to completely shut out a team from ever doing anything. Most likely. Doesn't happen often. And so the fact that they completed some passes and got close to scoring, okay, that stuff happens in the course of a game, right? you're beating them down. Maybe they catch a little momentum on a drive. Big deal. We only allowed 3 total points. After all those turnovers, right? We only allowed 3 points. So I think we did pretty good. I forget how many sacks we have. I don't have any numbers in front of me. But we did well. We got a lot of pressure. Hammond Russell had a good afternoon. Chase Wilson, Reed Carrico, right? Everybody basically played their part. They did what they were supposed to do, check the box, and we move on. And so you got to feel pretty good about the team right now. You could have concerns about the fumbles, but I don't think it's anything that's going to linger, right? Those are things that can be corrected. Now, I know we've heard that before from the previous staff, but don't we feel a little bit better about the Rich Rod staff than we do the Neil Brown staff, right? I feel like if Rich Rod tells us something, it's true. I don't think he's blowing smoke. And I think he even said, those are some things we need to clean up. And he even said we probably should have practiced a little bit more on that. And so I'm sure they'll work on that this week about securing the ball a little bit more. Like, maybe using 2 hands on it, keeping it on the outside of the sideline and things like that. Not positioning your body so they can't get a helmet on it as well. Things like that, like little drills you can do. I'm sure they will clean it up, and I don't think it's a problem that's going to persist. But anyway, I like what I saw. Again, aggressive, and we executed. And were we perfect? No, but no game is ever going to be perfect. And I think I just keep coming back to this last point that we did what we were supposed to do. We covered the spread. We beat them by 42 points. That's more than a blowout. And that's what you do against the FCS team at home. So,
we've had a lot of fun this episode. But you know what's not fun? Not subscribing to the Trust the Beard podcast. Don't pull a Darren DeVries and leave me hanging. Do the right thing. Hit that subscribe button. Like this episode. And share it with every couch-burning buddy in Mountaineer Nation. And make sure to follow me on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Earbeard.
I don't have a lot of complaints. Now, am I going to make a lot of outrageous predictions going forward, saying like, oh my God, Cam Vaughn is the next Stedman Bailey, or Jaheim is the next Slayton, or Scotty Fox is, the next Pat White or something like that? No. We shouldn't dwell on the negative things, but we shouldn't project the team to be anything more than what we saw on Saturday. And so with that said, again, check the box. We did what we're supposed to do. Now, moving on to Ohio, I'm not concerned. And I know a lot of people are saying that this is a trap game. Ohio's a tough program. You're going on the road, yada, yada, yada. And maybe I should be more concerned, but I'm not. I think we just take care of business because maybe I have blind faith in Rodriguez and his ability to coach his team up, and that Ohio is a G4 or G6, whatever it is now. And I just, basically we have bigger, stronger, faster horses than they do. Now, will they make it competitive? Can Ohio make it competitive in the first half? As long as we're not shooting ourselves in the foot? Yeah, sure they can, right? They have athletes too. They have a returning quarterback. Basically, their entire system, I would assume, is what they ran last year because their coordinator is now the head coach. And, can Ohio be competitive? Yes, I believe they can. But at the end of the day, I think what Rodriguez brings to the table, what Nicco brings to the table, our offensive line, Jaheim, Gallagher, Bray, Sincere, almost said Sincere Harris. I can't think of his last name now. Fox, Henderson, all those guys, they're all a package. And I'll touch on the quarterbacks here in a minute. I think what they bring is going to overwhelm what Ohio can bring as well. And I think you get into the third and fourth quarter, right? We're running this up-tempo stuff. We have them on their heels. I think we pull out the victory. I don't see it as a slugfest, maybe early on, right? Maybe halftime scores like 14-14, 17-17, something like that. But I think eventually we just pull away. I don't have a score prediction. I don't have any stats. I'll have that later this week. But that's just my general feeling. And I thought that the whole time, even after I watched Ohio Rutgers. I'm like, yeah, they're playing well, but again, it's Rutgers. I put West Virginia under Rich Rodriguez higher on the totem pole than I do Rutgers, even with Ohio on the road. And honestly, since Greg Schiano has been back, he really hasn't had Rutgers back into the spotlight where he did before. They've been better than what he was when before he arrived, but nothing jumps out at me as being spectacular. So, was it a good effort by Ohio to get that close to winning against Rutgers? Sure. But again, it's still Rutgers. I think we will be a harder test for them. And of course, Ohio will be a harder test for us than Robert Morris. But still, I'm not too worried. I think we will handle it fine. I don't see us looking forward the trap game against Pitt. And the reason why is because I don't believe Rodriguez will let them. And two, I don't know that the players will necessarily understand the gravity of what Pitt is at this point. Right? This is all brand new. Okay, we're all focused on the whole one game at a time. I don't see them overlooking Ohio to get to Pitt because I don't know that the players here, of course, Nicco and Jaheim, Gallagher, Bray, they understand it because they've played it. And, Carrico and the D lineman, Russell and everything, they understand that stuff. But a good chunk of the players like Cam Vaughn or like Jalen Henderson, the guys in the secondary, Chase Wilson, that kind of thing, I don't know if they understand the gravity of what Pitt is. I think they will after the Ohio game because I think Rich Rod is going to show them what it means, right? They're going to get up for it. But I don't think it's at this point where it's like, man, we've had this circled for so long because none of these players were here in the last few years. Some of them were, right? A handful of them. But like a lot of these players that have come in didn't play against Pitt. Right. And I don't know that they understand the whole 13-9 thing. I'm sure they will be reminded again when the Pitt game happens or that week of, but I don't see them, just salivating over the summer like, oh, we got this game circled. We got to get them back. I don't see that happening. I see it as we have to focus on getting prepared for the first game. And now that the first game is over, we need to get prepared for the second game. Right? That's how I see it. I don't know if that's the truth, but to me, I think Rodriguez has them in that mindset, or at least as trying to get them into that mindset. Like, we have to take care of Ohio before we can take care of Pitt. So with that said, I don't think we'll have much of a problem. Again, it could be a game early, but I think we'll take over and win. So with that said, the overall picture of the program, where I think the program is headed, I feel good about it now. There's no reason for me not to. Like I said, we did what we were supposed to do. Oh, before I forget about the quarterbacks. I think I look at the quarterbacks the way he's going to use them as like a pitcher has his bag of pitches. Or not his bag, but like his array of pitches, right? He has a fastball, maybe a four-seamer, a two-seamer. He has a changeup, a curve, a slurve, a slider, whatever. I think that's how these quarterbacks are going to be used. I think Nicco is going to be your fastball, right? You're consistent. You're going to use it more often than anything else. Although he is slower than the other quarterbacks, but that's going to be your primary guy. And so let's say you have like a knuckleballer. We'll say something like that, right? You got a knuckleballer in Nicco. Well, now you throw in Jalen Henderson, who's your fastball. Like the other team is just not quite ready. Just as the batter, another pitcher comes in and throws a fastball. Well, that's something completely different than what the initial pitcher has been showing you. And so I think that's kind of how the quarterbacks are going to be used. They are change of pace guys, right? You throw something different at them that you were not expecting. And they all come in like not just a package, but they're part of the quarterback room. They're part of the quarterback position, right? I mean, Nicco is going to be our number one, but these guys get sprinkled in because they are part of the offense, right? And so I think that's what's unique about it is you don't know when and where these guys are coming in. And I don't know how a team tries to prepare for 3 or 4 quarterbacks, right? That's going to be kind of difficult. And so I think that's the interesting fact about our offense moving forward. And if they are utilized that way, like a pitcher has different pitches, to change it up and change the speeds and locations and things like that, I think that's how these quarterbacks are going to work in this offense. I think they're going to work, in concert together. It's not just going to be Nicco, and if he gets banged up, the other guy comes in. I think there are plays set up for each one of these guys. You need a spark, right? Maybe the offense is kind of struggled. It's second and long. Well, let's bring in Scotty Fox or Henderson. And, they just picked up 10 yards. All right. And they do it again. Okay, they just got a first down. Now we're rolling. All right, now I think that's what they're going to be used for. And so moving forward, again, I feel pretty good where we are. I think most fans should. It was a great start to the Rich Rod era. It was a beautiful day, and I'm heading to Athens on Saturday. Very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. Athens is a great college town. It's much like Morgantown, probably maybe a little flatter, in terms of the hills and everything, but very much the same. Very much a college town. Just a great atmosphere, and I hope everyone traveling there has a great time. I've seen something on social media about people wearing gold. Like gold is the de facto color when you travel. I don't know. I've never heard that before. Although I don't go to a lot of away games, so I can't say that. I'm just going to this one because it's only 40 minutes from my house. I live in the Mid-Ohio Valley area, so it's a lot closer, taking all the family. It's going to be a good time. But I'll be honest, I'm going to wear blue. I did my gold for the Robert Morris game, and I don't have a lot of gold shirts. I have one that I definitely feel comfortable in, and maybe another one I could probably squeeze into that would be okay, because I don't wear a lot of gold shirts. Most of my WVU stuff, if not all of it, aside from a jersey and a couple others, are navy blue. And so that's what I'm going to wear. If that offends anybody, I'm sorry. But I don't know about this de facto gold for road games. I've never heard that before. So if that's the truth, again, I'm sorry. I don't mean to disappoint anybody, but I'm wearing my navy blue WVU shirt. And so it's going to be beautiful weather. I think some rain in the morning on Saturday, but the clouds are going to give way to some sun. I think like a high of 70 maybe over in Athens, I think is what I saw. So yeah, beautiful day. It's going to be nice weather. And anyone traveling there, just be careful. If you have some Athens waters, or if you brought some of those waters from Morgantown, be careful with that. Do it responsibly. Drink some real water as well. And just have a nice time. But I'm going to close it out here, guys. I hope you like this assessment. Again, no numbers, just from the couch, my feelings, my overall thoughts on the game. I think we're in a pretty good position. So with that said, I'll close out. Again, be careful on the road. Goodbye. God bless. Go Ears.